Let's learn how to solve quadratics when they come out to be quadratic. So we're going to look at quadratics. You're going to have to factor along the way and be sure to check your answers. If you plug them back in and you're taking the log of a negative, it's not going to work, so we'll reject that answer. Let's get ready. You're going to need notes, pencil, and a calculator. And let's jump right in and try to solve this one. The first thing I notice is it has two log words. So I'm going to condense it. They're both the same log, and it is addition, so I'm going to condense it with multiplication. So it becomes log base 7. Multiply both these things together, so I'm going to put them in brackets, equals 1. So log base 7, I'm going to do big distributive property and multiply these together. So I have x times 3x, which is 3x squared, x times 5, which is 5x. Negative 5 times 3x is negative 15x, and negative 5 times 5 is negative 25, equals 1. I'm going to simplify that up a little bit. So 3x squared minus 10x minus 25 equals 1. Now here, don't just drop the log word and go to the quadratic. It's still in log form, so you have to switch over to exponent form. So I'm going to go with my base raised to my answer. So this becomes 7 equals 3x squared minus 10x minus 25. Now we've switched from log to exponent form, which is actually quadratic. I want to set this equal to 0, so I'm going to subtract the 7 from both sides. And this gives us 3x squared minus 10x minus 32 equals 0. And we're back to quadratics. It is a little harder to factor because we have the a value of 3 and the numbers are a little bit bigger. So I'm trying to think of what multiplies to 3 times negative 32. That's negative 96. What multiplies to negative 96 and adds to my b value of negative 10. It's a hard one. On your calculator, divide by 2, 4, 6. It is divisible by 6. I'm going to make it negative 16 and positive 6. Now remember, because a is not 1, you cannot take those numbers and go right to the parentheses. You have to use grouping. So I'm going to substitute in. So I'm going to say 3x squared minus 16x plus 6x minus 32 equals 0. Now I have 4 terms, so I'm going to factor by grouping. Can't take any numbers out of the first one, but I can take an x out. So I have 3x minus 16. On the second one, I can take out a positive 2, and that leaves behind 3x minus 16. Remember, we want those parentheses to be exactly the same, so they're our GCF. So I can factor that out, 3x minus 16, and I'm left with this x plus 2 in the other set of parentheses. It equals 0. I'm going to apply the zero product property rule and set each equal to 0. And x might be 16/3. X might be negative 2. But the thing with negative 2 is if I plug it in with a minus 5, that's going to give me a negative. So I am going to reject that, and the 16/3 is my answer. Let's try this one. We're going to go through the same thing. I have both log base 2, so I'm going to condense. I have subtraction in the middle, so this one's going to go to division, so I'm going to rewrite it as a fraction. So I have log base 2 of 3x squared minus 2 all over 4x plus 5, and this equals 0. This is in log form, so I'm going to go to exponent form. So I'm going to start with my base, and I'm going to go to my answer. So this becomes 2 to the 0 equals this fraction. And what is 2 to the 0? It's 1. Be careful, it's not 0. And now I have this statement. So right now I'm dividing by 4x plus 5, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 4x plus 5. And I get a statement that says 4x plus 5 equals 3x squared minus 2. Now this is just a quadratic, so I'm going to set it equal to 0. I'm going to subtract the 4x over. I'm going to subtract the 5 over. And we have another quadratic. A is 3 again. So I'm doing what multiplies to negative 21 and adds to my middle negative 4. That's going to be negative 7 and a positive 3. So I'm going to substitute those numbers in for that negative 4. So we have 3x squared minus 7x plus 3x minus 7. I'm going to factor by grouping. I see 3's and 7's, which is good. Can't take anything out, so I'm just going to take an x out. 3x minus 7. Nothing out of the second one, so you can take out a positive 1. 3x minus 7. Factor out the parentheses, so we get 3x minus 7. The other stuff goes in the other parentheses for x plus 1. Solve this, we get 7/3, or possibly a negative 1. And what happens on this one, because I plug it into the first one, the negative 1 is going to get squared, so that will be positive. And the negative 1 times 4 plus 5 will give me 1, so they both work here. And sometimes you can have a variable that's negative. So good job with that one. And one more problem. Let's try this one. Again, log base 2, same bases. I have subtraction, so I'm going to condense to division. So we'll do log base 2 of x squared plus 7 all over 2x plus 3 equaling 3. Rewrite it in exponent form. So 2 to the 3 equals my fraction. That means that's 8. I'm dividing by 2x plus 3, so I want to multiply everything by 2x plus 3. It's going to be a distributive with the 8. So we're going to do 16x plus 24 equals x squared plus 7. We have a quadratic, so I'm going to subtract to put it into standard form. So I have x squared, subtract the 16x, subtract the 24, and I get negative 17. Take a look at what we have. It's a quadratic. Now a is 1, so it's a little bit easier for our factoring. I'm going to do what multiplies to negative 17 and adds to negative 16. And that's going to be negative 17 and a positive 1. I don't have to go to the grouping. I can go right to parentheses with this. So this becomes x minus 17, x plus 1. Set each of those equal to 0. And x could be 17, x could be negative 1. If I check the negative, again, the first one's going to get squared, so that's okay. And the second one, 2 times negative 1 is negative 2 plus 3 will be 1, and both of those will work. So when you're solving with logs that are going to lead to a quadratic, if you have your two log words, condense first, switch to exponent form. You're probably going to have to factor. If a is not 1, then you have to use grouping to factor, and make sure you check your answers. Good job.